Autumn brings plenty of crisp, cool nights, but just how cold it gets really depends on where you are in western New York. I'm explaining in this week's Heather's Weather Wise. One of the things that sold me on forecasting the weather in western New York was how dramatically the weather can vary over a span of mere miles. We're kind of infamous for that, right? I mean, hello? The world knows about our snow, but if you've lived here for a while, you know that temperatures can be dramatically different for someone at the lakeshore versus someone in Ellicottville. Here's an example from mid to late September. This was our first real drop into some truly fall-like weather. Low temperatures were down in the 40s for a few nights in Buffalo, but just a little bit off to the south in Wellsville, temperatures dropped below freezing for the first time all season. There's a few factors at play that allowed for this to happen. First is proximity to the lake, of course. The Buffalo airport is about 7 miles inland, while Wellsville is about 100 miles as the crow flies from the shoreline. During the fall, Lake Erie's water is still warm as the air gets cooler, so communities closer to the water have just a little bit of a buffer. The second factor is elevation. Wellsville is about 800 feet higher up than Buffalo is. But there's one more thing if you look just a little bit more closely at the surrounding area of Wellsville. The town itself is tucked right into a valley. During the day, the sun heats the ground and the air just above it. As that air warms, it rises pretty much everywhere. But once the sun goes down, the air in the lowest part of the atmosphere starts to cool down. That cooler air is more dense and heavier than the relatively milder air from earlier in the day, so it sinks until it can't anymore, right into the bottom of the valley, which in this case is in Wellsville. But you could apply the same idea to places like Ellicottville and Bradford in Pennsylvania, both of which also tucked into small valleys. That's going to do it for this week's Heather's Weather Wise. I'll see you next week with a new topic, but until then, remember it's good to be a geek.